Hi guys, so in this video we're going to have a look at a new project, and this is something which is going to test the things that you've learned about HTML and CSS. Okay, so to start off you should get a zip file like this, adventure.zip. So double click on the zip file and it should open up in your computer, and you can drag and drop that folder onto your desktop. Okay, now once you've got the folder, double click to open it up, and you'll see that there's a few different files in there. Now, I can see the extensions of these files. So I see index.html and theme.css. If you don't see the extension, if it just says index, then remember you can change that by clicking on the view option up here and then changing file name extensions. So if it's turned off, then you just see index theme, but I recommend you have it turned on, and then you can see what type of file it is that you're looking at. So in this case, we've got an HTML file, which you guys already know indicates that it's a web page. We've got a CSS file, which you guys know tells us about the style that we want that web page to take. So things like colors and pictures. And we've also got a JS file. This is a JavaScript program, only a very short program, which is going to help us create our game. So you won't need to change the JavaScript program at all, but you are going to change the HTML and the CSS. So when you first get this, there is actually a really simple framework for a game created. So if I double click on index.html, it's going to open that in my browser. And you can see this is the game, The Curse of Dracula. So it starts off with a story, and you've got two options. Now, I haven't written a long story, so whichever option you pick, it just says that the story could be continued. Okay, so actually what you guys are going to do is not continue this story, but you're going to create a story of your own. Okay, and it can be a story about anything you like. So you could do a horror story, you could do a fantasy story about magic, um, a whatever story you like. I mean, there's all sorts of things you could come up with. So I'm sure you guys have got a better imagination than I have. Right. So um, now let's look at the technical details about how you're going to do this. So the first thing is that you will need a text editor. Now the text editor that we've used in school is Notepad++. So you can search for Notepad++, and then go to that website. Oh, look, it hasn't come up with Notepad++ when I search for it, unless one of these Polish results is... Right, now guys, when you're searching for Notepad++, don't download it from one of these sites like CNET, because those websites are full of viruses and things like that. You want to make sure that you go to the actual Notepad++ website. Let's try it from bing.com. Okay, and now it takes me directly to where I wanted to go. So maybe it was just because I was searching through the Polish version of Bing. So this is the website, notepad++.org. And you can download it here if you click on the download link and then click here to download. Now, if you're on Mac, then Notepad++ isn't going to be available for you, but there is another editor which you can use, which is also pretty good. So that's the Atom editor. So if you search for Atom editor and then go to this website, so atom.io, and download that. And if you're on Mac, there's a Mac version as well. This editor is also very good. I'm going to use Notepad++ because I'm on Windows, but you'll find that Atom works basically the same. Okay, so if I look in this HTML file, I'll right-click my mouse and go to Edit with Notepad++. And then it opens up, and this should look familiar to you. Okay, these are all of the HTML commands that we've looked at before. Now, at the very top, you can see that there are two lines here. These lines tell the browser that we are using a CSS file for the style and a JavaScript file for the JavaScript. So don't change those, just leave those how they are. If you change them, then the game's going to stop working. But everything else you can change. So we've got a title here which you can change, and this is the title that appears on the page. Now the story is made up of multiple sections. So here's the first section. Every section's got a name. I just called them section 1, section 2. And we write that name inside the ID. So then you can see that I've written my story using P tags for each paragraph. And at the end of each section, I've made some links to other sections. So we do that using the A command in HTML. A stands for anchor, and it allows us to connect to a different section or even a different page in HTML. So in this case, I'm connecting to a different section. I'm saying that you have this option, lead my horse up the main road, and if somebody clicks on that, then it goes to section 2, and then section 2 describes what happens. So let's have a look at how I could add something to this story. So in this case, if I click on lead my horse up the main road, and then at the moment the story hasn't been written any further. Okay, so it says you hear wolves howling, you've been spotted, to be continued. Okay, so let's try adding a little bit to this. I'm going to say a wolf jumps in front of you, it looks hungry. Okay, now we're going to give the user some options. So I'm going to use the P command to make another paragraph. And then I'm going to use the A command to make an anchor. And this is going to go to a new section. So because I've got section 1, 2, and 3, this will be section 4. Okay, and what option do I want to have here? Well, if I saw a hungry wolf, one thing I might do is stand really still, because that's the advice they give for bears. I don't know if it works for wolves, probably not, but I know with bears you're not supposed to move. And then another option I might put down, so this will go to section 5, and this could be run for it. Okay, so try and run away. I mean, wolves run quite a lot faster than human beings, I think, but that could be an interesting option to take. Okay, so now these link to sections. So if I save this now and go back to my page and reload it, you can see that these options have now been added into the game. Okay, but if I click on an option, it's not going to work because I haven't actually written a section for that option yet. So remember, stand really still, that was section 4. So now I need to make a new section. I'll put section ID equals section 4, which I write in quotation marks like that. So don't forget the quotation marks. Okay, and then just like always with HTML, we have to have a slash section to match the start of the command. Okay, so every command has a start and an end, and the end begins with a slash. So I like to write the start and the end at the same time. Okay, now what happens if you stand really still? Let's say that the wolf, let's say the wolf wheeze on your foot. Okay, because I don't know, I guess wolves do that kind of thing. Okay, so there's one possible option. Okay, and then let's do section 5. Okay, so in this section, this is where we chose to run for it. Okay, so I think probably running for it is going to be a bad idea. So let's say the wolf chases you and sinks its teeth into your leg. You collapse on the ground. Okay. Okay, so now if I save that and go back to my browser, I'm going to hit reload. And then I'm going to try picking these options. So if I choose stand really still, okay, there's there's the option, the wolf wheeze on your foot. I'll go back. Let's try the other option, run for it. Okay. So then you can see how we can add options into this game. Now, like I said, I'm not expecting you to continue this game. I want you to write your own story, okay, on whatever topic you like. But if you pick a different topic, then obviously the style of this web page isn't going to fit very much, because this web page is designed for a horror story. So if you want to change the style of the web page, then you need to edit the CSS file. Okay, remember CSS is where we store the style of web pages. So I can right click and edit this in Notepad++. Now inside my CSS file, we can see some of the commands that we've already learned about. Okay, so here's where it sets the background color. Let's say that I want to change this from a horror story to a romance. Okay, it's going to be a love story because that's what a lot of vampire stories seem to be about these days. Okay, so instead of having a black background color, maybe I'm going to have a pink background color. And I could change the font. Now, if you want to get a list of fonts, it's often useful to use Microsoft Word. And then you can have a look inside here to pick a font that you want. Since this is going to be a romantic story, maybe I'll use this one, Curls MT. So I'm going to copy that name and put it into here. Okay, and now I probably want this is H1, so this is the heading. Let's make my heading blue. And then now this is section, so this is for each page. Now I don't want the text to be red, let's just make it black. Okay, and now I don't want to have a skull in front of each option. Actually, since this is a romance, let's have a heart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search on the internet for a Unicode heart. Okay, so Unicode is basically the list which includes all of the different emoji. So here's a heart symbol. I'm going to copy that symbol and put it into here instead of the skull. Okay, now I'll click save and let's see how our adventure has changed. So I'll click reload. Okay, so now I've got these heart icons, and you can see that this definitely could be like a romantic comedy or something, except for the skull in the background, right? So that skull comes from the images folder, and there are some pictures in here. So you could pick a different picture from the internet and change background.jpg. Now there is another picture in there as well, castle.jpg. So I put this in so that you can see how you can add images into your adventure game. So I'm just going to go back to the beginning of my game. And let's have a look at how I can add an image. So there is an image command in HTML. What you do is you type img src for source. Now my image is in the images folder, so I'll put images / and then I write the file name of the image. So this is castle.jpg, so I'll put castle.jpg and quotation mark. Okay. Now I know I don't really need that tag, but we're going to stick to the rule that we always write an open and a closing tag. Okay, if you're someone who knows more about HTML, then you might think that looks a bit weird, but it won't cause a problem at the moment, so we're going to stick to the rules. Okay, so now if I hit reload, you can see that it adds in this spooky castle, which looks really weird now that I've got a pink background. But if I still had the black background, then that could look pretty spooky. Okay, so guys, I hope this gives you an idea about how to create your own interactive story using the HTML and CSS commands that we've learned about. Have a think about what story you want to write. Pick some backgrounds and some images that you could use in your story, and then get writing. and I'll be really interested to see what you can come up with.